Hi, this is Stephen Lynn, the principal at Fort Zeller Elementary School, and we are here for another episode of We're All in This Together. This series allows us to have an inside glimpse to the human life of our teachers. As you all know, our teachers work very hard during the typical school year, but now that we have moved into remote learning, the last thing we want is for our students and our families to really think of our teachers only as names or faces on the screen. We know that teaching is a performing job in many ways, especially as we are pre-recording our lessons. And we want you to know that we're human and we go through some of the same frustrations. And hopefully that allows all of our parents to realize that their own children's teachers are relatable. And that in itself, we hope would be very encouraging. Today, we have, and I'm really excited about this, we have Miss Moore as our guest. Miss Moore, say hello. And
Hello, everyone. We miss you all.
yes, we do. We really do miss all of our, and not just our children, but our families. I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, community, the idea of unity in the community, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
You
uh,
bet.
I believe you're the first person to actually have a real outdoor background. Yeah.
I'm here just to eliminate some indoor noise.
So
I'm supposed to have on the
yeah,
deck.
in case people are mistaken, this what I have is fake. This is a fake background, a virtual background, but yours is for real.
Right,
So which is nice. Yeah, now that we're moving into spring, why not, right?
right. Hopefully the birds aren't too loud.
We love the sound of birds. So, Miss Moore, thank you so much for joining us, and um, thank you for inviting us into a little bit of a glimpse of your life as a teacher. I am sure, as I start with all of our interviews, I start with this difference between how we have always thought ourselves as teachers, going through teacher training and all the many years we've been teachers, and then this curveball that was thrown into our community, and then, of course, into our professional life. How are you making sense of it? What are you dealing with? What are you learning about yourself? How are you how you doing,
Well, I'm doing well, much better now. The very first day that this all happened, I didn't even realize that as my students walked out of the classroom, that would be the last time I saw them in that setting, which I had a hard time dealing with. There wasn't that closure. There wasn't, not that we wanted closure because we're still going, but it just felt so not right, but yet in a way, I guess, it had to be the right thing to do. So, teetering these two thoughts back and forth, time helps you sort through things like that. And I've come to realize that, this is what we need to be doing for now. It's not ideal by any means, but I'm still teaching the same way. I'm trying to plan my lessons so that I start with familiar things, review, and try to figure out what skills they need and break it down and go over each thing the best I can. And, hopefully that someone is there to help if that's the biggest thing. I'm not there to help.
Yeah.
So that's was the biggest transition I think that I had as far as teaching in the teaching world of things, not being there to get that raw data of, are they getting it? Aren't they getting it?
Like
What do
right in the moment, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do
That's
I need to
crucial.
tweak? What do I need to change? What do I need to add? That's the part of our teaching that we're missing, and that's a huge part.
Mhm.
So the feedback with families is so important because, we want to be there to help with any kind of problems, whether they be technology or the actual learning of the skill.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the technology was a big thing for me to transition to. You know that, Mr. Lynn, don't you?
But I am so incredibly proud of you and everybody on the staff. Admittedly, I did not know the Seesaw program very well. I knew of it. I'm sure you knew of it, but
I
I
knew of it and I
yeah.
used it a little bit, but I part of me was just preferring to, put actual books in hands and do it in other ways that I know work. But I've seen how, Seesaw, the Seesaw platform, and then of course the other technology that we use in terms of creating our lessons, being able to screenshot, you know, uh, and put a presentation together, so to speak. I had to learn all that. And I thought there was no way I'm going to be able to learn this because we turned around and did this in a very short amount of time.
Yes.
And, just the frustration of not being able to be with the kids and dealing with that. And then realizing that, oh my goodness, now I need to tweak how I do lessons, what content I put in, how much I put in,
Mhm.
because it's not the same as being in the classroom. We try to make it as close as we can, but it's just not possible to make it identical. And so that was a big transition. And then learning the technology too, in order to do the presentations. It was quite over a short amount of time. There was some frustration there, but my colleagues are wonderful. I have to, really give a shout out to them. We really work as a team, and we've always worked as a team, but we've really worked as a team through this.
Yeah.
And so I thank them, and I thank the families for their grace and their, willingness to work through the technology too, because I know that was not a normal for them either. And we were all kind of in this new normal. So I'm doing really well now, actually enjoying putting lessons together and reaching out to the kiddos each day with my videos. So yeah.
Well, it's funny. I heard you say earlier that teaching is somewhat the same, but then, of course, we just ended with how teaching has been so different. But something about you that has always stood out is just you understand the importance of preparing. And so preparing in the typical school day versus preparing on
Right.
this virtual remote world, I suppose is no different. You still have to prepare, but um,
It's exactly the same to me, because you have to think about your content, break it down to the skills, and think what is the familiar that I can hook the new learning on, build that up, and um, the art of creating a lesson has not changed.
yeah.
The amount we put in, the amount of feedback we give as we're guiding, that has changed. So without getting the feedback, it's kind of like somebody going to the doctor and the doctor going through their tests. The tests haven't changed, figuring out what they can do to help, but they're not seeing the patient back to get that data, that they
Yeah.
need, and having to, go forward. So um, my
I like that.
apologies to parents if their children are
Yeah.
frustrated. We try the best we can to make it so they can be successful.
I like the doctor analogy. And for our viewers out there, Miss Moore has a distinct reputation for coming up with really great analogies. I think that is definitely one of the traits that you bring to the teaching table here on our staff. Earlier you also mentioned too how we're sorting through this time of change. And as I've gotten to know you over the last 2 school years, you and we've had some deep conversations about, recognizing that we all sort through things differently, and that as humans, we don't, we're not robots. We don't go through the same process. We may experience the same phenomenon, but we'll process it differently.
Sure.
And the social emotional piece, you really tie, I think part of where, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like maybe you're missing a lot of that social interaction, the ability to connect with children.
Absolutely. Yes, that was
Is it-
another big
Yeah.
thing. I'm glad that you brought that up because I was so thrilled when we were able to start Zooming with families and not necessarily families, but with the children.
Right, yeah.
That is the piece that I really missed because I felt like there was a one-way conversation going on, me
Yeah.
through the videos, and being able to hear from them and just hear things they want to say. One of the highlights, I think, of any teacher's day. I mean, how can it not? And sometimes I think, what would it be like to not have this innocence and, the children come up to you and just tell you all kinds of little things that just I don't know, build up hope in the world, and it's wonderful to hear what they have to say. And I truly, truly miss that. I mean, first thing in the morning, we'd be greeted with stories and smiles and just the little things.
You're speaking
And
my language. That's what I miss too.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I really miss that. And so now with Zoom, although my class was really quiet through our first Zoom, so I hope they start um, never thought you'd hear me say they were too quiet, did you, Mr. Lynn?
No, yeah, I can believe it because my own son, his first grade teacher Zoomed with him. And as rambunctious as he is at home, the moment Zoom comes on and the venerated, awesome
Mhm.
teacher comes on screen, he becomes the shy kid who wants to
Yes,
hide
I
behind.
saw some of that.
I can see
So
that.
I'm thinking it's just something new and their shyness will go away.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I'm so happy to hear from them again.
Yes,
And,
yes. You're right. And this is what I hope all of our parents who are watching this realize is that our children, for all of the negativity that could be out in the news, just observing our children without any judgment, just watching them really does provide you hope. Like
yeah.
the purity of the curiosity and
Mhm.
the wonderment. I wish as an adult that I had that same ability to have that natural curiosity. Sometimes I'll get them in trouble. Don't press that button, and kids' curiosity will make them press the button. But I think there's something about life that
Mhm.
they enjoy. They don't realize that they enjoy, and I really do hope that adults over time can take a little, take faith in the future.
Value the love of learning. They truly do. And some of those little things are the things that I miss the most.
Yeah,
The humanness, the human
yeah.
connection.
Well,
Yeah.
you even mentioned the word art of teaching too, and like, let's know, let it be known to the public that there is definitely a science to teaching. There's brain science, there's motivational science, psychology is all involved, but there is an art to we're not building, we're not building, Ford F-150s. It's not like they're all the same. Everyone is
Right,
different, and there's a
right.
dance that goes with
A
it.
puzzle to figure out sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, by the way, and I hope I'm not blowing up your ego here, but that is one thing I really respect about you is as children present their greatness and their challenges, you have, I love that you just tinker around, try to figure out what's that key to
Right.
unlocking the children. Do you
Oh,
find
oh,
yourself,
that-
is that harder on this platform using technology or?
Definitely, definitely, because you don't get that, the being able to watch them and observe and see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like teaching through a one-sided glass, I guess.
Yeah.
Where you're talking, but you can't see what's going on the other side.
Yeah.
It's just strange, and that is along with, as you said, missing the human interaction. One of the strangest things that I've had to adapt to with this new platform that I mean, this is the playing field that we've been put on.
Yeah.
And, the rules of the game have changed a little bit, and we just have to, play the game the best we can with our same um, motivation and effort, and just let it fall. I mean, it's not, like I said before, it's not ideal, but it's what we can do, given the situation we're in. So, and we're
There are a lot of
making it the
blessings.
best we can.
Yeah, there's a lot of blessings and silver linings. I'm finding in each interview as I talk to you and some of our colleagues is we're very good at finding those blessings and the silver linings. I
Mhm.
hope that we can export that and help other people see that. So
Yeah, one of the blessings I feel is this, and I've heard this, with social media. I've heard different people say it, and it's so true. This is truly like a step back in time. Um,
ironically, with all the technology, right?
yes, yes, ironically, very ironically, it is like a step back in time where we can spend more time with family. For some of us, I mean, some of us are able to do that. I understand maybe not all families would
Sure.
have that freedom to do that at the given time.
Yeah.
Because some people are still, like my son is working from home
I
now,
was just going to say,
the ability to
your
do that.
family is impacted. Do you want to share a little bit of that?
Well, my son's been working from home. He's still living at home. He's been out of college several years now, and he's working from home. And my daughter is spending more time. She's also grown, and she's actually going back to school now, after having taken a few years off after high school. And so there she has a daughter who is turning 2 in a few days, and
Adorable.
so they spend a lot of time here at the Minute. And so it's been interesting trying to find quiet places, to go. And we'll have to say, I'm recording now, or, somebody, Josh, my son, will say, I have a call coming in. Everybody try to be quiet.
Uh-huh.
So it's
Right.
this, balancing with controlling the noise. And I know that a lot of people have that going on
Right.
right now.
Right.
So yeah, the blessing for me is being able to spend more time with them.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not sitting around during the day. We are working, all of us are,
Mhm.
but there's little breaks. Like in school, it would be go, 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 go
Yeah.
from the time you step in until you leave. With, even during our special, it wasn't really,
Mhm.
I mean, much of a break. There's still things that, we have
Right.
to get done. But here at home, if you want to go make a cup of coffee in between doing something, or just
Mhm.
stop and say, how's it going? How's your day? We have the ability to do that now. So
Yeah.
that's a silver lining.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
So
So,
losing the human side of teaching, however, has gotten us in touch with the human side of maybe some priorities for me at least that I might have let go to the wayside. I mean, I was not eating lunches often, and I have been intentional in eating lunch. I've mentioned it in other episodes how am so proud of myself being able to be home for dinner, which
right.
was a
And
rarity.
that's important for your family.
Hmm.
So there are some, like I said, the step back in time with being able to spend more time with family in a time that was not quite so busy. Now our busy has been controlled a little bit. So there's still a busy to my days. There really is, but it's not the same kind of busy, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
sure,
So, and
absolutely.
it's I have a few more minutes where I can, relax, look outside,
Hmm.
enjoy cooking a little bit more, although it's starting to get a little old, I have to say.
I'm enjoying the cooking myself.
I
So
mean, I love to cook, but um, you know,
yeah,
restaurants can open soon now.
yeah, right,
I
right.
miss that. But anyway, it's
So family, obviously, that warms our heart. It's good for us. Being able to slow down a little bit is also good for us. Is a whole reason why I push the mindfulness. It's simply to slow down and notice and be intentional and you
be
know
present in the moment.
yeah, be purposeful in the moment. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's really important.
which brings in this larger conversation of wellness. How are you taking care of yourself? Because undoubtedly you've had the stresses of learning new technology. Undoubtedly, you've had the stresses of worrying about your children,
Right.
in the class. How do you manage to take care of yourself? You are working, you've got a family around you, and then you've also got your school family. How do you take care of yourself? What are you doing?
Well, it's funny you mentioned my school family. My colleagues and I weekly communicate, several, oftentimes more than once, during our mandated, get-together meetings to plan.
Right.
And they have been wonderful with providing humor and just that connection. Having that connection is so important.
Mhm.
Um, Emotionally, we get so much out of being connected to other people. So I've been trying to stay connected that way with colleagues, with family members, the same thing. um, and I think just spending some more time outside, maybe a little bit more time than I would have, um,
Getting that fresh air.
yeah, and just, I'm a homebody. It's not that I don't like going places, but I love being at home. I love home. And I don't miss not having to leave my home every day.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I do enjoy being here.
Mhm.
I, of course, I miss what we had in school, and I would go back in a heartbeat, but I do enjoy being home.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much, I mean, how, and realizing too that this is temporary.
Yeah.
It's not going to last forever.
Mhm.
So trying to keep that, and I don't watch news very much. I found that
It
just
could be a good
doesn't
thing,
work.
right?
It
Yeah.
doesn't work for me. So I've tried to watch enough so I understand what's going on, but not too much that it overtakes me.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how I'm
Well,
trying to
you're
manage.
you're being right in the moment, so, whether I know there's so many competing beliefs on what mainstream media is like, but regardless, whatever the stories are, we're going to end up thinking about what it means in the future, what it meant in the past, and then
Mhm.
oftentimes we lose track of the blessings of being
Mhm. It
present.
can overshadow and it can be scary. So I'm just trying to understand that. I don't want to be pretentious that, things aren't going on, but I still have hope that this will pass, and,
Right.
fun and normal the way it was will come back again. And hopefully we'll bring some of this temporary normal with us. Of,
Yes, two things from what I heard from you. You're right, because as much as everything that's being reported is, a reality somewhere, New York City or whatever the focal point is, what's also reality is, and I love it, the birds are singing in the background. That's also a reality. And if we're so
life
caught up
goes
in all those
on.
other things,
Yeah.
we forget the blessing that's bestowed on you or me,
Mhm.
which is the bird singing in the background,
And
and
I think just not needing to control everything. I try really hard to.
that's hard to
Um,
do sometimes, isn't it?
it's very hard to do.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do because I like to be in control, but yeah,
Now, you
it's
brought up a really good point, which actually leads me to a kind of a second thing I want to ask you about, which is, you know, um, how we might bring some of this temporary world that we're living in right now into this new normal, hopefully when we come back. Um, what have you learned about yourself, or what habits have you picked up, or what has happened in your life that you're like, I can't believe I didn't do this before, and when things go back to normal, I want to keep doing this. Like, is there something that you've learned about yourself that you're thinking, when we go back to normal, I don't want to lose this. I want to take this with me from
Mhm.
this different world
um,
we're living right now.
I think, of course, maybe some of the technology, having used it inside and out now, um,
Yeah.
I we've become very good friends, and you know, trying to maybe do some more of that. And I think just, I mean, not that the human side of connection with the kids, I mean, I've always felt like, you know, I had that, but just, I don't know. I mean, being able to take that back and realize that everybody has things that are difficult, and sometimes life is messy for us, and it's not messy for all of us at the same time. You never know, you know, what somebody's going through or what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And just to, you know, have that grace and kind of look at it like that. And you know, sometimes we get caught up as teachers in, they have to learn this, they have to learn this. And, you know, I want my children to learn as much as they possibly can. And so I guess realizing that sometimes that might not be the top priority, and
Mhm.
that's okay. Do you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Well,
Um,
what the town zeller that I sent out in the letter, the first letter at the very top, I had written about acknowledging just everything that our families may or may not be dealing with. And I did say, and it sounds odd coming from this child's principal, that schooling may not be your priority right now. And then I added, nor should it be, because you know, I think we have to be humble and enough to know where our schooling fits in to the wider world of life. And you
mhm,
brought up the word grace twice now, and that's so important. Things can be messy, but you're right, things can be messy in our lives at different times.
mhm.
And messy doesn't necessarily mean bad, it's just, it is. And if we get judgy about it, then we're depriving others as well as ourselves of grace, which I think we all deserve, you know.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And
And I think, you know, through things like the current situation, we're reminded of that we all face issues. You know, we all face humps, you
yeah,
know, bumps in life. And we're all going through this speed bump sort of together. I mean, this one, we are kind of all like going over the speed bump at the same time.
messy at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. How high the bump is might be different for different people, but we're all going over that bump right now. So, yeah, but in, you know, going back a couple months, you know, we as teachers sometimes get caught up in our main mission, which is to educate children and make them the best they can possibly be. And I think, you know, always keeping that human side um, sensitive and close enough in touch is so very important. So, not that we haven't been doing that, but I think this situation just nudges that a little closer than maybe what it was.
I agree.
Um,
Again, it's not even the conversations just in this series. I think conversations I've had with parents, conversations I had with my own family. I think, uh, you know, I like to think the better of human nature, and I think that we're primed to want to look for those silver linings. And so, if we're nudged to think about what's important in life,
mhm.
and education is, but it's one of many important things. And sometimes you're right, we get so caught up in our mission that we forget about those other important parts of life for ourselves and for others. Being nudged that way is not a bad thing. Could be a good.
No, it isn't. It isn't. And ultimately, we are here for the students. They are not here for us. You know, I've always viewed it that way. My students are not here for me at all. I'm 100% there for them, which leads me into going back to school in fall. And, you know, a message that I want parents to know now is that, sure, we're pushing out lessons of new content at the minute. We are um, we went through standards that our state of Pennsylvania has. We picked out the most important ones, and I'm sure that you have read in some of our communications that this is important to prepare your child for the next grade level, and we encourage you to, do all the activities, and all of that's true. However, we're on that bump right now, and above the importance of your child's schooling is your family unit, what your needs are at this current time, and meeting them. Physical needs, emotional needs, mental wellness.
Yeah.
It's so important. And we do not want anyone who is out there working, long days, coming home and then having to, sit with their children for a long period of time, doing so. When we say it's important, it is to a point. Ideally, we would love for you to, be able to do as much as you can that's pushed out, because they are things that the children need to know. But part of what we do in our profession is meet kids where they are. And that brings me back to, they're not here for me, I'm here for them. It's not like, here's the menu, and if you don't like what's on the menu or you don't fit with what's on the menu, you're out of luck. Go somewhere else to eat. It's not like that. It's, I'm here for you. I will design the menu around you, for you, so that you can successfully eat. In an analogy to, that. So
Right.
I think
There's
that's
another
the main
analogy. You
thing.
have not disappointed me, Miss Moore.
Another analogy. Stop, Mrs. Moore. Anyway, that's the main thing that I want people to know, families to know.
I love that, because
when we go back to school in fall, we will sort through, we will pick up the pieces. We will find out what the students remember, what they don't, and if there are some holes in curriculum, which in their skills because of this, which there will be. That, I mean, there can't not be. We will fill them in. So we will prescribe that plan, educationally for the children, so it is sound and we know how to do that. So don't worry, do what you can, but meet your needs, take care of your family, and don't stress too much about it.
It's about balance.
Yes.
You don't ignore the work, but you also don't want to have it all consuming either.
Right. I mean, we don't want families stressing so much that it takes this toll emotionally or, on their family or their children. Absolutely. So do as much as you can and reach out to us for help. I mean, if there's technology problems, or your child's having trouble with the skill, maybe we can throw out another trick from the bag to help, but please communicate with us, because that's the piece, as I said earlier, we're missing.
Oftentimes, like with technology, like we're figuring it out with our families, sometimes we're figuring things on our own before we even go to our own district's tech team, which is an amazing tech team, but they hadn't really used Seesaw before either. I mean, we jumped on this, and I think we've owned it as teachers. And I'm really this being Teacher Appreciation Week, I really appreciate all of your analogies and all of your messaging, because you're right. We appreciate you as a teacher and everything you bring to the table. I love your menu analogy, because you're right. I think among our staff, you are well known for seeing a child as a child around whom to work. And again, going back to the art of things. But then, you also, I mean, that's not to say you don't have your standards. I mean, I have seen you toe the hard line, which is important. It makes our children grow. I think some adversity is a good thing. So uh, that is something about you I've always respected, Miss Moore. I'm so excited during Teacher Appreciation Week that you agreed to come join me on this series. And
Of course. It
you
was
know,
fun. I
well,
always like talking to you, Mr. Lynn.
I do too. And you have such insightful ways of expressing fantastic ideas, and you did not disappoint, like I said. So, do
You
you
do
have
as
any last
well.
of encouragement for our families, or anything else you want to share with them, or?
Just hang in there. This is May. Soon it will be June. Yeah, I mean, uh, in addition to what I said, I don't think so. I mean, just, do what you can. And learning doesn't stop on the last day of school. There's always ways that parents can do a little bit each day rather than sit down and do tons one day and then none the next 3 weeks. It works well to maybe put a little bit in. If your child has word rings or math fact cards, and there are libraries when they open up again,
They open up.
and online resources for books. Some of those main things that we as teachers say to parents that children can do that really keep them from that summer slide is just reading books, an actual book, or doing an online resource for hearing and reading books, practicing math facts, high frequency words, and those are things that teachers can help you with. I mean, just that's if families can do that.
Oh,
Um,
you're echoing exactly. I was talking to our reading team, and I believe it's Miss Longenecker had said, let's just say our families are most frustrated. What is the one thing we can say? To let them know that there are some easy things that you can get the biggest bang out of your buck for, and that is just simply reading to them, just having access to books and letting your children have a positive association with.
Absolutely.
And
It builds their vocabularies. There's so many wonderful things. I can't say enough about what children and sometimes we overlook, even me, might overlook what reading a book, like when I read to my granddaughter, you know, okay, let's read this for the 1000th time. um, there's powerful stuff in having children read appropriate things for their level and then reading to them, because when we read to them, they can maybe understand the book. They might not be able to read it, but they can understand it, and that's powerful too. So reading to them reading to you, them reading to themselves, keeping some of those basic math skills in check. There's many places where you can either order online or pick up like a grade level workbook kind of thing. And even if it's just a few things a day, that's, we don't need them to spend an hour a day over the summer to keep on skills. That's not necessary.
If I'm not mistaken, you are actually doing a read aloud of a fantastic book every morning as part of your pre-recordings.
Yeah. There was a read aloud book that I just felt like
It's a tradition in your
I
class.
was having some trouble acknowledging that we weren't going to get to read it this year. So I thought, okay, this will be our video time. So yeah, we are enjoying a book together. And even though it's kind of one-sided, because again, I'm reading to a screen, we'll be talking about it at our Zoom time, I'm sure. So
Wonderful.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, thank you, Miss Moore. I appreciate you joining us again. As I said earlier, everything that you bring up is very insightful. It's illuminating to me as I kind of reflect on your words. And I am grateful that you're part of our, not just our staff, but our community. And I know that our community thinks the same way. And to our viewers, thank you so much for joining us once again. And we will be uploading this series on our YouTube channel, which is called Principal Fort Zeller. And speaking of our fantastic community, our PTO has been gracious enough to upload these segments on their Facebook page. So if you're not already on Facebook liking that page, you should go check them out. It's the Fort Zeller PTO Facebook page. Check them out. All of the episodes are there as well. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Well, we'll see.
Whenever that is, right?
I don't know yet who the next teacher is going to be, but I'm going to have to go convince them, whoever it is. So
I'm sure you have a lot of pull, Mr. Lynn.
Oh,
You can do it.
yeah. Well, thank you so much.
We appreciate all that you do. Mr. Lynn is fabulous advocate for our students and very supportive of the staff, and we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Well,
Everything you do.
the appreciation and the gratitude is mutual. It is a team, and it is a family, a professional family, and
Absolutely.
I love that we are sold out in this whole Elko Together thing, but we're also sold out for Fort Zeller and our crew here. So, you know, a lot of reflections, a lot of good reflections, but I can't wait to see the kids. Can't wait to see you too in person.
Thank you. Not through the glass, right?
Yes.
And
All
with
right.
gloves.
What's that?
Gloves and a mask.
No gloves and a mask. I know. Eventually, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody, and we will see you guys at the next episode.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Love to all.